We bought a piano when Micky was 3. And the first thing we knew, he was playing little tunes on that piano. And he used to entertain the teachers. When we would have potlucks and things, we did different things, when we was a census, little small school. But he would get up and play the piano for us, and I was always proud of that. You didn't play the piece for Micky ahead of time, because if you did, he had it.
As soon as he could read, we started him on lessons, and we had him with a teacher who was a friend of ours, and she had good music background, a good piano, but he was able to get away with some things with her, and we took him away from her, and I don't know if she ever understood, but what was happening was she would play a piece for him, and when she was teaching him, and then have him work with it, well, what she would do, she would walk away from the piano and maybe do something else while she was listening to him, and he would improvise. And he got so good at that he told us. He said, I play the piece the way I want, and she can't pick up the difference, because he'd put in different notes and stuff like that. And we thought, boy, that's not going to work, because we knew he had a tremendous amount of talent, and he loved the piano. And so we took him away from her and put him with a teacher. She was from Hungary, and she and her brother came over here, and he was head of the music department for CC, and she gave music lessons. We kept him and Patty both with her for 1 year, and we told her what was happening, and she took care of that. And she was really, really strict, but she would not let him play anything other than classical. And we wanted him to play in church, and she wouldn't allow it, because she didn't want him playing any music that was not classical. And so we left him with both of them with a year there until it got him straightened out. And then we selected a teacher that he didn't get away with anything with her, but she allowed him to play other things, still classical, but he could play, and she believed that, it's good for them to be educated in the classical manner, but they need to have some fun too with the piano, and so that really worked out well. And he played so many different things for the schools. Just go in and play, and of course you have to be proud of that.
Micky was pretty little, and I didn't sing in the choir because I took care of him and everything, and all I had to do when we were in church, he always sat with his feet around me, and if he got restless, I would just whisper, "I'll put you in the nursery," and he would settle right down and go to sleep. And that's how we worked that with him, so I didn't have to put him in the nursery. So that was great.
With Micky, he had just natural talent. As we've said, he started playing by ear when he was 3 years old. Just sat down and picking out tunes, and if he heard one, he could just pick it out. And he did his practice at night mostly. He would start maybe before we went to bed, and he would practice for like an hour and a half. He just loved to do that. We would go to bed every night with his music, because he would play at least 45 minutes or an hour at the piano after we went to bed. And when he went to college, I had a hard time with that, because he was not there anymore, and even though Patty had gone ahead of him, but we still had him, and we had the music at night. And I think that's one thing that I really missed, and it took me a long time to get over that, not hearing that piano going to sleep, and knowing that everything was fine. Micky had a tricycle, which we still have, and it's just totally worn out. And what he would do is, we lived in Widefield at the time. He could ride a tricycle, but just barely big enough to ride a tricycle, and we allowed him to go down the block and then across and then back up the other, and he did that, and he talked with the people all the time. He knew just about everyone that was there, and he loved to do that. He loved to talk with people. Patty would never have done that. But he just very gregarious and really, really social and liked the people. And so their personalities were so different growing up, which is interesting when you have two kids like that. Both of them are great kids, but they're just totally different.
Church has always been very, very important to me, and I've tried to pass that on to my kids, and I think it has worked pretty well on them. And that you don't give up on something. The only incident I can remember is that once when Micky was in school, he was playing the French horn, and he kept telling us that his teeth were loose. They was making his teeth loose. And so we didn't believe it. We just thought he doesn't like to play the French horn. So we took him to the dentist. Sure enough, his teeth were loose. So the French horn went out, but he played a lot of different other instruments, so that was okay. We just tried to instill it on. Don't give up on something just because you don't want to do it. And I think we've pretty well done that.
Micky was very, very small. He did not really grow any until he was up in mid-high school. But when he was in junior high, I wanted him to try sports, and football was just something that he didn't want to do, but I wanted him to at least know what it's about. And I had a policy that if you start something, you have to finish it to the end, to the natural end of that particular season or sport. So he was a seventh grader, and in junior high football. And he kept saying that, he's really getting knocked around. And so I went and watched the practice one time, and he was getting knocked around, and he wanted to quit. And so I said, no. I said, not till the end of the season. So, and I didn't tell him what I was going to do, but I went and talked to the coach. And I said, we have a policy that we don't want our kids to quit in the middle of something. They don't have to continue it afterwards, but they do through the season. And I said, and I want you to quit having him being fodder, for the other kids. And because I want him to stay. I don't want him to learn that if he doesn't like something, he can just quit it. And so the coaches really honored that. And so he didn't have any more complaining with that. And I think that was a good lesson for the coaches and for him, knowing that he could stay. And he doesn't know that I had gone to the coaches on his behalf, and he didn't need to know that. It was during our 50th celebration. We had the kids had a really huge, with a full musical, full dinner at night, and we had 135 people that were invited to it, and each of the kids then made some comments, about growing up, and I think the one that I really remember is from Micky, our son, when he was talking, and he had Parker was real little, and he was sitting on the piano bench because he wanted to be up next to his dad, and so Micky got up to the microphone, and Parker was just sitting there, just a little guy, sitting there, and he said. And really paid a tribute, to us, to both of us. And he said, when when my son grows up, and he pointed at him, he says, I want to think about him, and I want him to think about me as much, with love, as much as I do my parents. And I thought, what a tribute that is, to want your son to feel exactly as he felt about his parents when he grows up. And I think about that pretty often. This over here, the music is an original that Micky wrote.
Now, was that from our 50th?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, 50 years. It's called 50 years. And that's the composition that he had. That he made. So we framed it.